You can see from the fact that we're over here in the assembly room that this project is already done, and it looks killer. I don't want to show you too much of it because we're about to take you through how we went through the front suspension with the QA1 kit, and then the second follow-up video will be the full rear suspension. But little preview, you can't see nothing over there, can you? You'll just have to watch the video. Okay, we're going to start the process by getting this caliper out of our way. We're going to knock this knuckle out for the tie rod. Once we get that out of our way, we're going to go ahead and get the sway bar assembly off. Now we can work on getting this rotor out of the way so we can get to the spindle bolts.
The C63 for the RS5 4.2.
They were all pretty distinct, weren't they?
They are pretty distinct. Yeah.
Or like 15 to drive, or it's up on stoplight to 18 miles per hour. But it doesn't make power.
Yeah. Ceramic brakes is going to Italy, so there's some car things to do there.
All right, we paused here for just a second. I could hear people through the camera cringing at me loosening these two bolts. So basically, there was no cotter pin on the lower mount. We got this cotter pin out. Both these are loose, not even off the shaft. You keep seeing me hang the caliper. I know that's a no-no, but we're replacing all this. We're probably not even running these brakes. So the next step would be to put a jack stand under this control arm to get pressure on this spring, and then we'll take the shock nut off here. We'll take this one of these nuts off here, and we'll lower the lower control arm. I don't condone the way I just did that. Normally I'll run a chain through the spring just to make sure it can't fly out at me, but I've done this enough to know that there's not much pressure in these, especially these frame pocket style. If this was a Mustang or a Cougar where this is sitting on top of the control arm and in a bracket, you definitely want to have a safety chain on it. I've never had a problem. Just keep that in mind. Hey, look, there's a spacer in there. And so all that's left to do now is to pop the upper and lower control arms off. We'll clean up this whole area. We'll continue with the Eastwood rust encapsulator like we did on the rest of the frame. And then we'll have a beautiful bare frame to start with our QA1 installation. Okay. All right, that was just an angle thing. Once I pulled it up and put the pry bar in there, it just fell out. So we're gonna take a second, we're gonna clean all this up. Clean up in there, clean up the pockets. Let me give you an idea of what that looks like. So you see, we got full slots, front and rear. These are not adjustable at all. All of your suspension adjustment comes from the upper control arms on these cars, which is like that with most cars of this era. But anywho, that's the disassembly. We're gonna get the other side done, then we'll get it cleaned up, and then we'll get into that cool QA1 stuff. All right, look at that. We're completely cleaned off and completely bare. We got it wire brushed, cleaned up. Put some self-etching primer and then some satin. It's still a little wet is why it's so shiny. It should dull out just like the rest of that frame. Looks really good in there. And we're gonna go ahead and take a break, and then we will dig out the QA1 stuff. We're gonna take just a second and go over these components before we throw them in the truck next door. So we got the full QA1 front suspension kit with single adjustable coilovers. These are the aluminum body shocks. Just like the directions say, make sure you put a lot of anti-seize on these. These are aluminum and aluminum. They'll gall up real bad, especially if you try to change ride height while there's weight on the vehicle. Our bags came all labeled. I don't know if that's everybody's kit or just ours since we special ordered it, but you get full hardware kits for the lowers, bump stop kits, bushings, everything you need. The bump stops are these really nice phenolic pieces. You got upper and lower bump stops. Obviously we got springs. We chose 550 springs for the coilovers. You got a beautifully made upper control arm, driver's side. They got a phenolic, maybe a, oh, what's that plastic called? They make like dirt bike chain guides out of it. I'm drawing a blank, but you know what I'm talking about. And then we've got the crazy coilover lower control arm here. Everything's got built-in ball joints, grease fittings everywhere. This is really nice stuff. Well built, very heavy. Delrin plastic, that's what I was going for. Delrin plastic is very abrasion resistant and chemical resistant. So we're gonna get this assembled really quickly and we're gonna get it on the truck. All right, so when you go to assemble your lower control arm, you can see you've got two different size bushings. You got two different size bolts. The forward mount is a little bit fatter, so obviously we're gonna slide these in and match up all the sizes. They give you a washer. These are 15/16 bolts, and they just go in just like there we go. All right, so it took just a second to get the bolts in. It's a very tight fit on the bushings, which I think it's supposed to be. You can see we have no binding at all. It's also important not to tighten these bolts until you're at ride height. So as far as we're going, see the bump stop hits the frame right there, just like it's supposed to. It's pretty cool. Let's see about that upper. The upper control arm is pretty much like the lower. Torque your bump stop into 30 pounds, slide the spacers in, and you're going to reuse your original cam bolts. That's the control arm install. Now we've got to clean up our original spindle because we're reusing that and it's pretty gross. We're going to clean that up, get that painted up, and then we're going to go ahead and install the coilover. All right, I'm gonna take the tension off of everything, and then we're gonna hand tighten everything at this point. I'm not too stoked about how this upper ball joint is not up against the boot. We're gonna have to call them up and see what that's all about, but before we tighten anything, we're gonna get an answer to that. Okay, well that wasn't too difficult at all. We only had one question. Turns out that is correct. It's just got a short boot. We called our QA1 dealer. He confirmed that this gap right here is correct for this installation. So let's show you what we got here. So we've got the tubular upper installed. We've cleaned and painted our brake disc splash shield. We got some weird nut here that doesn't have a cotter pin, so we're probably going to change this tie rod. But that allows you to see the full installation up into the spring pocket. We don't have cotter pins installed yet, and nothing's tight. This is just basically, we wanted to make sure that everything fit because we've never used this kit before. And also don't forget, we're going to coat the body of that shock with anti-seize. You don't want to try to make any ride height adjustments without anti-seize on that shock. You'll ruin it and they won't give you a new one. So that's it in a nutshell. The other side here is, I'm gonna let the paint actually dry a little bit over here. I kind of put it together wet just to get it done so you could see it and make sure we had everything we needed. We're not sure what we're doing with the brakes. I really don't want to put that yucky little rotor back on with these yucky gross calipers, but it's not my truck, not my decision. So if we have to clean these up and paint them and make them look pretty, we will. Otherwise, there you go. Remember, if you're doing the entire QA1 installation front and rear, we will be doing the back half of the car. We have all that over there, over here. I think I showed you, I'm not sure. Already got the inner fenders all painted with the single stage, looking gorgeous, but here is the complete rear 4-link kit. Where's the crown jewel of this kit? Over here. Everything's a little dusty, but there's the 10-bolt rear cover that gives you the torque arm installation, and this is the entire 4-link kit with coilovers. So that ought to be really cool. Get that installed. Get this stuff out of my way. I didn't show you the directions, but they're really pictures. Like I said, every torque is in here. It gives you the recommended alignment specs to give to your guy when you have it aligned. Shows you how to build every kind of coilover, not just the ones we have. All in all, I'm really happy with QA1. I really like their stuff. I'm gonna put their stuff in my car. So all right, that's gonna do it for part 1 of the video sequence with doing the front suspension. I'm gonna go ahead and edit the back here so you can get a look at how we did that, and then you can look at the whole package and see if that's what you want for your truck. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe. You know how to do it. Helps us out, helps us help you out. Remember, get out in your family's garage and get some work done. You know you got cars out there you ain't working on. You know you are. It's wintertime. Let's build them.